And welcome everybody to another edition of the Sports Rush. I am Brett Rump. Glad to have you on board with us. And of course, it's been a busy week. Been a busy week for me personally, but been a busy week among the sports landscape because you've got football and college basketball now both overlapping. The NBA obviously in full swing. We're not even going to talk about the Pacers because it's been kind of a rough start to the season for the Pacers, primarily injuries. It was good to see Nemhard get back on the court last night, but other than that, Pacers, they're struggling a bit. They just, you can't play when you've got your hands tied behind your back, and that's kind of the way the Pacers are going about business. But we've got Colts football with drama, IU football with drama, big news regarding the Hoosiers basketball team, and Purdue Fort Wayne sets a school record earlier today. I'm telling you, there's a lot of good stuff happening, and we've got to talk about it. And to do that, I get the pleasure of being joined each week on this program by Adam Lundy. And
Hey,
man, I'll tell you what, I'm keeping busy just trying to watch the sports I'm responsible for. And then there's other sports we're going to talk about. It's been a busy week.
it's been an insane week, my man. And it's like, where do we start? Where do you want to start? Because there's so many topics we could dive into. I mean, it is. I mean, we got the football, we got the basketball, we got football on two different levels. We got high school, we got Colts. I mean, we got three different levels. We got Indiana
Yeah.
football. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
goodness.
Notre Dame staying alive. They
Woo!
might end up making it. I think they would
It
be the
might.
first team to start 0-2 and still make the college football playoff. And they've got a very, very realistic shot at doing that. But it has been a crazy week. Of course, my week a week ago, I was coming to you from a poolside location out in Phoenix where it was 87 degrees. Today, I'm sitting in a studio looking out the windows at snow-covered grounds and temperatures in the 30s with wind chills dipping into the 20s, might even go into the teens later on tonight. What a change a week makes. But we've had three Purdue Fort Wayne basketball games. Starting off out in Phoenix, then getting back home, a couple of days in the fort, then it's off to Columbus, Ohio State Friday night, and then less than 48 hours later, the Mastodons taking the court at home for the first time this season officially as part of the regular season. Of course, they played at home when they took on Ball State, but it's the first regular season home game, and the Dons did not disappoint their home fans, breaking the all-time scoring record for Purdue Fort Wayne basketball. Now, there's been some good players and some high-scoring teams and some big three-point shooting squads, but today, record-breaking with 137 points. And what's funny is they broke the record for a half by scoring 70 in the first half. They came back and scored 67 in the second. They almost broke their own record. They might have first and second place all in the same game. I don't know what the record was, but I know the 70 was a new record. You got to produce it. I got to call it.
Yeah, it was a fun one to produce. I mean, they started off, they couldn't miss from the 3-point range, could the Dons? What did they make? Their first six?
Six. I think they made their first six and finally missed, and then they were, I believe, at one point 8 for 12. But I mean, they were good in a number of ways, and there were a couple of things I think they still need to improve. But it's nice to see this team be able to showcase its skills. Remember, they played Grand Canyon at Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon was 11 of 24 from three in that game. 11 of 24, almost 50%. Grand Canyon was 2 for 13 in their next game. And Coach Kaufman said it. He said, we didn't have on our scout that Grand Canyon was a good three-point shooting team. They had a couple of guys you want to get a hand up, but it wasn't like a deep team that had multiple players that we thought would really hurt Purdue Fort Wayne from behind the arc. And that's all they did early was shoot threes. And it built that early lead when the Dons had to come back from 24 down, which they got 24 down because Grand Canyon was just ripping the nets. They used a lot of energy to get it down to what was it, 9? I don't know if
Yeah,
it was
9.
closer.
I think it was 9. Yeah.
And, and then Grand Canyon kind of made a couple of shots and a couple of plays, and the Dons had used so much energy just trying to come back from 24 down, they didn't have enough left in the tank. Then they go to Columbus, and you're thinking, let's see what they learned from that first game. They apparently learned nothing because it was exactly the same type of game. Ohio State comes out, ripping the nets from 3, build a big lead, and then the Dons come back, and they actually got that to within 7, and then Ohio State pulled away late. And I'm sure that that run by Ohio State late either satisfied or greatly disappointed some people that might have had a little something something on that game.
Oh, I didn't know about the lines. That's a bummer.
The line started at 21 and a half, ended at 24 and a half, and the final margin was what, 25 or 26. So, and that was
Someone
because
explain.
Ohio State went on a late run. The game was like 13 points or 15 points, and then Ohio State pulled away. And I thought about it when I saw it go to about 23 or 24 points, and I thought, ooh, these are important points. They seem to be insignificant if you're just paying attention to who's going to win or lose the game. But I thought there's some people that these points late are pretty significant to. And especially when you saw the line move by like 3 points from where it opened, that meant there were a lot of people that jumped on with some pretty significant money to get them to move the line that far. And assuming that they all took Ohio State because that's the direction the line moved, they were probably happy to see what happened.
Yeah.
But
Hey, but yeah, speaking of Grand Canyon University, real quick, just to give you an idea of the level of quality of play that the Dons are going to be headed into when they get to Horizon League's play, Youngstown State goes to Grand Canyon and gets the win over the
yeah,
Lopes. So
yeah, they won. Youngstown State went in and won on Friday. Now, of course, if you're a Dons fan, you look at that and you think, what does that say about common opponents and where the Dons are compared to Youngstown State right now?
that's what I'm saying.
But two totally different games. Two totally different games. Um, and all I think about is with the Mastodons. Don't get discouraged by this team's results. This is not about results at this time of year. This is about development. And in years past, and Coach Kaufman seems to be taking a different approach. In years past, I think Coach Kaufman really wanted to go out, get wins early, and felt like the result on the scoreboard was going to be indicative of the future of the basketball team. And I think he's finally learned that November means almost nothing as long as you're getting better. That's it. I mean, you could go 0-7, but improve, and you're probably okay. Last year, Robert Morris, who was the class of the Horizon League, started the season 0-2, including a 29-point blowout at the hands of West Virginia. Now, that was not a dominant West Virginia team, probably somewhere similar to what the Dons faced in Ohio State. And Robert Morris ended up being the class of the league start to finish in the Horizon League. And they won, 16 of 17 or whatever they won in January and February. They were really, really good when it got to league play. And they were last year in a similar situation to what the Mastodons are in this year. And that is they brought in a bunch of new faces. They only had 1 or 2 holdovers. The guys that were holdovers were role players the year before coming off the bench. One of them took a starting position. They had to try to build their culture, their chemistry, figure out their rotations. And so they start 0-2. Mastodons start 0-2. But ultimately, it means nothing. Because the only thing people are going to remember, they're going to remember, did you win your first game or your second game? Because the Dons have won some big games. They beat DePaul to open up the season a couple of years ago. But nobody brings that up. Nobody really talks much about it because the season ended without a ticket to the NCAA tournament. That is all it's about for a mid-major. You got to play your best basketball in March. You got to be in a position when March starts where, you got a reasonable draw in your tournament. But the bottom line is when you've got a one bid league, you either get that bid or you don't. And that's what everyone remembers. The Mastodons have had a lot of 20-win seasons, but no one says, way to go. They all say, when are you going to make the tournament? Right? It's all we keep hearing.
Yeah.
When are you going to make the tournament? All these great wins, but when are you going to win the tournament or get in the tournament? But today, we'll talk more about today coming up later. I do want to start, though, with the Indianapolis Colts because they had a much-needed win today. Woo. And after yesterday, I didn't know if you could top the drama that we saw in State College, but we almost did with the Indianapolis Colts. They had to overcome bad kicking. And let's face it, the Colts might be using their bye week to try out kickers because you can't miss extra points and you can't be short on a 53-yard field goal in the NFL.
No. Left, right, every now and then, but not having enough power to get it there, that's not enough.
That's not a good sign because you need 50-yard field goals to win football games.
He
didn't even get it there. He did kick it straight, but he didn't get it there. And it looked like that was going to cost the Colts a football game. And Daniel Jones made a Daniel Jones type blunder. Why can't he hold the ball like this? When you run and you scramble, hold it with two hands up by your shoulder so you can just snap off a quick throw. That's the way it should be done fundamentally. But he gets into the bad habits that he had when he was a New York Giant, where he wants to scramble and run around and hold the ball out away from his body in one hand. And what did they do? They reached out and they poked it, knocked it away, got the football, the turnover. I mean, he had 5 turnovers last week. I'd be holding that ball with both arms wrapped up tight against my body before I was ready to throw it. Just can't make those kind of mistakes. And ultimately, the Colts, though, still found a way to win.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky that they have the who should be the MVP and Jonathan Taylor to save their butts with some ridiculous plays and just to save their butts. Like I said, and Badgley was terrible. This is a game that should have been a Colts lead at halftime. They should have been up 4 points. It should have been at least, or 3 point, 17-14, something like that. But those missed points cost 4 points in the first half. I'm coming out of this win as kind of a cynical Colts fan, Brett. I'm cynical about the loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was an ugly win today that took an overtime win against the Atlanta Falcons, who are not a top team in the league. I'm worried about now I'm honestly worried, is Daniel Jones the quarterback to go all in on? They make this trade for Sauce Gardner that cost them a hefty price, and we haven't seen quarterback. The last 2 games hasn't been enough in me.
I'm still okay with Daniel Jones. And before the season, I said Jones had to be the starter. This was not a decision where he came out and played well, and I said, I was for Daniel Jones all along. No, I didn't. I never said Anthony Richardson because I said we've seen enough of Anthony Richardson. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. He might be a guy you could put on the practice squad and bring up, or he might be a guy that holds the clipboard and sits in the meetings to offer input every once in a while. He doesn't have the physical capabilities of being an NFL quarterback. And so I was for Daniel Jones all along. It is a very cerebral game in the NFL. Defenses are constantly trying to confuse a quarterback. And unless a quarterback is extremely smart, has great recollection, has studied a deep layer of film, they are going to be fooled. Daniel Jones knows what he's saying, knows what to be prepared for. Anthony Richardson didn't know when the blitz is coming, where it was coming, what coverages they were in. He couldn't read things because he hadn't seen enough film to see them do something before. Because that's what most of the NFL is. You're going to go to something that you think will work against this team, and maybe you haven't done it for a year or two, but that defensive coach has it in his bag of tricks. What you've got to do as a quarterback or as a coach You got to get through enough film to where you see it. So you say, hey, you know what? This is something we might see on Sunday. If we do, here's how we're attacking it. Daniel Jones can process that. Anthony Richardson cannot. So I'm still okay with Daniel Jones. There are guys on this Colts team that have been longtime Colts that I think it's time to move off. I mean, if you're going to clean the slate and you're going to start doing things differently, let's go ahead and do things differently and understand that Zaire Franklin is not a very good linebacker. I think the Colts fans loved him because in a bad defense, he was one of the better players. But that doesn't mean in a good defense, he's one of the better players. He's not. He's one of the worst players in a better defense. And the same can be said for Grover Stewart. I know Colts fans love the guy. He was fun to have here at Parkview Field. But the reality is that one touchdown, he got knocked 5 yards out of the hole. He was the guy that had the gap where they ran in and never got touched. And if you watch the play, got hit by a guard, and the guard for Atlanta not only hit him, but then moved him, displaced him by almost 5 yards outside the hole and allowed the running back to have this wide open path into the end zone. You can't do that. I mean, he's not necessarily a pass rusher. Even when he broke through on a pass rush one time, he wasn't quick enough or fast enough to catch up with Penix and actually take him down. All he did was chase him out of the pocket. He's not a run stopper. The Colts haven't had a run defense forever. And without DeForest Buckner, more needed to be expected from Grover Stewart. He didn't deliver. Every time they ran toward him, they moved him out of the way without any problem. It was almost like the game plan was, let's attack this guy. He isn't going to be good enough to stop us. And so I'm perfectly fine if the Colts want to move on from Grover Stewart and Zaire Franklin. Now the problem is you can't really move on at this time of year, but I've seen enough. It's past the trade deadline. You're not going to be able to pick up a guy in the trade in a trade, but I think, those are starting to look like the areas where if the Colts are going to move any more forward, and I don't know if this is a Super Bowl year or not, but if they're to improve this squad and they're looking for the weak spots, I say, look at some of the guys that have been around a while because they might provide the greatest areas of weakness. Grover Stewart and Zaire Franklin, to me, are two of them. Stewart does. How many sacks do you see Stewart get?
Yeah, not enough.
Doesn't spend a lot of time in the backfield, does he?
I was going to say, though, you're not going to give Zaire Franklin any love for that sack in overtime that made the Falcons have to punt.
Here's the problem. That you're saying exactly what Colts fans would argue.
I know. I'm playing the other side here.
Pick out the play or two that they make. They will pick out a play or two, and they'll hang their hat on. See, we can't be without him. Look at the play he made. Why can't you get those plays a little more often or a little more consistent? And when a running back, here's one of the things I noticed about Zaire Franklin today, because when I got on the little pet peeve, I decided I was going to really focus on him. When the running back gets outside the tackles, what angle is Zaire Franklin taking to get to the running back? Is he going upfield at all on his angle to cut him off? Or is he going parallel to the line of scrimmage? Or worse yet, is he going wider than parallel to the line of scrimmage? Again, taking the angle to a running back that's trying to get outside the tackle and go upfield. I tell you this, it's not upfield. I want a linebacker that can shoot a gap, that can attack and get an angle to take down the running back that is upfield. So he meets him at the line of scrimmage or maybe even in the backfield. Not go parallel to the line of scrimmage, cut him off and hit him once he's already gotten 2 or 3 yards upfield. Because remember, the linebacker, you're about 2 to 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. So if you're going parallel to the line of scrimmage, you're making contact with the running back at 3 yards. This happens all the time, Adam. He hits them. They fall forward for 2 or 3 yards. It's a 5 or 6 yard gain. It's because he cannot take the angle to cut him off either at or behind the line of scrimmage. He's not fast enough. And so I'm like, if you're going to play this type of defense where you want to rely on speed, you've got to get a faster guy in the middle. Or go ahead and put a big guy out there, but only use him on running downs. But right now, Zaire Franklin, I just don't think he's the answer at middle linebacker. Too important of a position. Now, maybe he has a role where he's calling defenses that I don't know, but I'm just talking about the play on the field isn't good enough to me. If you look at one of the weaker positions for the Colts now, since they've strengthened corner, they've strengthened safety. Pass rush, obviously, they always are going to be looking for pass rush. But to me, Zaire Franklin and Grover Stewart. But I thought the Colts defense wasn't bad today. I don't know that Sauce Gardner was a huge impact because Atlanta did some things. They knew they would cross up the Colts because they knew Sauce Gardner probably hadn't gotten that deep into the playbook. And so it was going to be, if they line up their guy, was he Drake Lloyd or Lloyd
London.
Drake? If they put him outside, they knew he was one-on-one against Gardner. So what they do, they slid him in motion into the slot, totally threw the Colts off because they didn't know when they were switching, when they weren't switching. And the one touchdown for Atlanta was a complete cluster blank where the Colts had two guys take the inside guy, and one of them was Sauce Gardner. He got thrown off on the coverage. So, but I do think the Colts eventually with some practice, now you've got the bye week, you're going to have some time to kind of get rested. I think the Colts will be fine. The secondary, you're missing Charvarius Ward. In the secondary, you're missing DeForest Buckner. That certainly are two big players to overcome defensively. And considering that, I didn't think the Colts were a disaster today defensively.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner on that, he kind of got tripped up on that 2-point conversion there for Atlanta. So I know everyone's saying he got cooked on that one by Drake London. I thought it was more of a trip, but still allowed the 2-point conversion there. So you don't want to see that. But other than that, I was pretty happy with his coverage. There was a couple other times he kind of hit the turf a little bit, getting the receiver open for Atlanta. But yeah, overall with the zone coverage and stuff, and getting used to a new team, I think like you said, this is a great time for the bye week to get him used to the new team.
Here's another thing about Shane Steichen too, as a play caller for the Indianapolis Colts. Fairly aggressive, right? He's a pretty aggressive play caller. That's his reputation, that he's going to take shots. He's going to take chances. Fourth down, he wants to go for it. Why then does he get so conservative when you're at the breaking point of field goal range? I mean, 3rd down and 8. Okay, this is before the 53-yard miss. Mm-hmm. 3rd down and 8. Why are you running the football? Do you not trust Daniel Jones? Did you forget you drafted Tyler Warren? Did Michael Pittman play today? Because it seemed like he wasn't doing anything. Alec Pierce had a couple of really nice catches, but it seemed like they took Pittman completely out of the game. But 3rd and 8, I'm thinking the only reason you run the football there is because you're going for it on 4th down, knowing it's a long field goal try. And knowing the importance of getting a touchdown. And no, instead they run it. They end up 3 or 4 yards short. And out comes the field goal unit to try a very long field goal for Badgley's range. Now, he still should make it. But that's a couple of times now where we have seen Shane Steichen go conservative when the field goal attempt was going to be 50-plus yards. No, go conservative if it's 25-yard kick and it's almost guaranteed to go through the uprights. Don't go conservative when it's a 55-yarder. In this case, 53 yards. I thought Shane Steichen put Badgley in a tough position. Now, that's not to make an excuse for Badgley. He's still got to kick that field goal, right? 53 yards, you can't be short. It's an NFL kick. That's like a quarterback that throws a Hail Mary and can only get it about 42 yards downfield. It's like, okay, there's certain expectations of skill level for an NFL kicker, and one is 55 to 60 yards. Not everybody's going to kick a 60-yarder, but you got to be pretty good up to 55, right? And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
55 to 60, you've got to hope there's a chance that if your team can have a game-winning kick from 56 or 57, you got a chance. Unfortunately for the Colts, they couldn't get a chance at the end of regulation because it was going to be a 57 or 58 yarder. He missed the 53 by falling short, which set the precedent for the 58, 59 yarder that would have been later. Um, I mean, do you feel like the Colts need a new kicker? Is Badgley the guy? You still supporting Badgley? It's his second run with the Colts. He's been with the Colts before. They brought him back. Or did the Colts need to find somebody else? I don't know what's available as far as kickers, but
you
um,
gotta at least have a kicker workout after today's performance. That was abysmal. And like I said, the Colts should have gone to the halftime locker room at Olympic Stadium there in Berlin with a halftime lead. So yeah, gotta at least work out some guys. See if there's anybody else that can make it to the goalpost from 55.
by the way, the Fox game, the Commanders and Lions,
Oh yeah, I see him. Yeah,
now
Donald.
has President Trump as one of the guys in the
He
booth.
he joined the broadcast crew. Yeah, it looks like he's
Yeah,
signing
maybe
off
they're getting
now.
the telestrator.
Yeah, he he was there for a good 10 minutes or so, or 5-10 minutes or so. So yeah, he was there a while.
Yeah, he's a football fan. Of course, he had a football league at one point,
Right, right. So
the
yeah,
USFL. All right, so let's look at the
shenanigans.
numbers because this is where it really stands out for the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor,
MVP.
32 carries. His 32nd carry was maybe the most important one.
Yeah,
244 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, game winner. Broke a long one that gave the Colts the chance to force overtime, and then a couple of nice runs in overtime, and he punches it in. I mean, you cannot argue that Jonathan Taylor legitimately should be the MVP front runner. And I'm not saying he deserves to take a back seat to anybody. I think he should be the front runner. I don't care quarterbacks, schmorterbacks. I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about a guy that's important to his team and having success. I feel like the award is to reward an outstanding season that has helped your team have a successful year. Jonathan Taylor is the epitome of that. The Colts have ridden him when they've had leads late in contests, and he's delivered by moving the chains. It may not show up on the stats if you look at the end of the year because they might have been 2 or 3 yard gains on 3rd and 1. But he's delivered big time plays when they've needed some kind of a special run. He comes through. I mean, there are no running backs in the league doing what Jonathan Taylor's doing, and it's not just statistically. It's the fact that like that run where he runs into the middle of a pack, ducks down, squirms around, and somehow finds that hole around the left end and disappears down the sideline. Just an amazing year. And Jonathan Taylor, at this point, and I don't know, we consider this past the halfway point of the season now, but he
yeah.
should be. I mean, it seems like now 17 games and you're 10 games in, you're past the halfway point. All the teams, I think, have played at least 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're past the halfway point. Jonathan Taylor, to me, should be the front runner right now for MVP.
Yeah, I mean, this year feels like the perfect opportunity for the NFL, MVP voting. The 50 voters. It feels like the perfect year, the perfect opportunity to, give everybody a refreshing. I feel like it would just be a breath of relief for everybody to just finally have an MVP for that's not a quarterback, and break up the narrative that only quarterbacks can win this award. Go back to it a quarterback next year, but just break up the pattern for once. It would be very refreshing to see a running back, and especially Jonathan Taylor, who is deserving of the MVP the way he's been playing for the Colts.
Adrian Peterson, the last running back, did he win it?
I'll check here. I'll do a little research here for you.
Check and see, because I remember Adrian Peterson with the big year he had in Minnesota.
Yep, Adrian Peterson in 2012.
Okay, so it's been 13 years, right?
Yep, yep.
Since we've had or is it 14? Was he awarded in 2012, or was it for the 2012 season?
It looks like year 2012, so the 2012 season.
Okay, so 13 years that we've
Yeah, and
had. Is there anybody else that's in there in those 13 years besides quarterbacks?
I'll check here for you.
Who else would it be? I don't know that there's a defensive player that stands out.
Yeah, I can't think of any
All right, we got to talk about.
All right.
Talk about drama. The Colts win with drama today, and now they are back as the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they kind of right the ship after a real dud last week against Pittsburgh. But how about the Colts Chiefs coming up in a couple of weeks? That's going to be a fun one. All right, got to
all quarterbacks.
What's that?
All quarterbacks.
All quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean it's just the quarterback award. That's why Jonathan Taylor, to me, there's no quarterback this year that's putting up the kind of stats. I mean, Daniel Jones was 2 weeks ago considered one of the front runners for MVP. And Jonathan Taylor is more of an MVP on this Colts lineup, Colts roster right now than I think Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones solved a real problem for the Colts and brought out their potential. But Jonathan Taylor's having an extraordinary year and does exactly what you need to win football games when you have a late lead, and that is get first downs, keep time of possession, limit the amount of snaps the other team gets, and take that, especially when you've got big leads. And the Colts have had a couple of those, surprisingly enough, because that's not something the Colts have been good at. I'll tell you this. The Colts are good this year because finally, after all these years, Chris Ballard listened.
Carly Ursay
has been yelling. The fan base has been yelling. When is Chris Ballard going to sign free agents? When is Chris Ballard going to pull the trigger on a trade? Chris Ballard just gave up 2 first-round picks. And he's done it before, but he's done it by getting multiple second and third round picks because we love those picks.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much influence the new ownership kind of has on
He traded 2 number 1 picks and found a taker for Adonai Mitchell.
Mr. drops the ball. Yeah.
The Colts had decided it wasn't going to fit after the debacle in week 3, 2, 3, and he wasn't going to play with the Colts, and so he found somebody that had enough of a need that he could include him in the deal and kind of sweeten up the pie and pull out a guy that the Colts really need at corner, and but he's doing all this and building this football team because instead of being so focused at what Chris Ballard loves, which is those guys in the interior at the line of scrimmage, that's where you win. We've heard him tell his story so many times. The reality is skilled players are the ones winning games. The Kansas City Chiefs, you can only name 1 or 2 linemen. But you can name who their wideouts are, their tight end, their quarterback. And so look at what he did with this football team. He all of a sudden changed his stripes, became a guy that was willing to deal and sign free agents, not just the cheap guys that are leftovers. No, the actual guys that you go out because you value their talent and you're willing to pay for that talent. And it's a circle around the outside. Corner, safety, corner, Did he pick up a wide receiver? I don't know if he picked up a wide receiver, but quarterback. I mean, he went out and got the guys not at the line of scrimmage, everybody outside the line of scrimmage. In fact, they've now signed like 3 different linebackers, which they're still trying to address that overall position group. Talked about that earlier. But the fact that Chris Ballard was finally willing to listen and willing to change, and he was desperate to change because he probably was on the path to lose his job if he stuck by his guns, but it's working. Oh, he only would have listened to all of us about 6 years ago. It's amazing. This actually works. When you go out and you're willing to pay talent to fill holes, it actually makes you a better football team. Imagine that, Adam.
Never could have guessed. I never could have guessed. It is like that. It's also refreshing. It's refreshing to see all that new stuff from Ballard and acting like a new man at the GM position there for the Colts. I want to jump back real quick to Jonathan Taylor because I saw this tweet earlier comparing some stats between him and Adrian Peterson through their first 10 games, comparing 2012 AP to this year's Jonathan Taylor through 10 games. So through 10 games, Peterson had 1,128 yards. JT has 1,139 rushing touchdowns. JT has 15. Peterson only had 7 rushing touchdowns, and Taylor also averaging 0.2 more yards per carry per. So yeah, MVP season by the numbers so far. More than proving. Yeah.
What was Minnesota's record that year?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I keep throwing things at you to look up.
Hey, I got to do what I got to do. It helps prove
our point. No different than they were when we were on the radio.
Nope.
I always come up with stuff on the fly that it's like, well, it'd be really good to know this.
10-6.
Minnesota was 10-6, and Adrian Peterson won the MVP for a 10-16. The Colts are 8-2.
That's an MVP if
that's
I've ever.
That's even a stat that's worthy, right?
Right. They have a better record. So,
all right. So make sure while you're watching us, you're also subscribing to us. We would love to have you as a subscriber. Just go below and click the subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell so you know when we're going live. If you're watching on Twitter, we invite you to join us on YouTube. Make sure you like and share everything you're seeing, because we're trying to kind of improve among the algorithm ranks. And so all of that helps. Everything helps as we try to build this program and this show. And we certainly appreciate everybody who does take some time to join us, because this is no fun if no one listens to it. What we have to say doesn't matter unless someone else hears it and is either entertained or educated by something we have told you in this roughly 1 hour show. But if you'd like to leave a comment, you can do that too. Rick has left a comment. Grover Stewart doesn't have the benefit of opposing offensive line, often needing to double team Buckner for the time being. No, that he doesn't, but I'm not talking about Grover Stewart just today. I'm talking about Grover Stewart as a player, as a playmaker, that is an area where I think the Colts can get better. Because considering the exact fact that Rick brings up is that position should have a huge advantage because the offensive line is always focused on Buckner. Grover Stewart doesn't dominate games. Now, he's better than Taven Bryan, who was horrible against the run. But today especially, Grover Stewart, and he was getting plowed out of holes, not because of double teams. He was getting plowed out of holes in one-on-one coverage, which means, yes, you don't have to worry about DeForest Buckner on the other side, but you don't have to actually double team Grover Stewart either, which means now you have an extra blocker that you wouldn't have had if DeForest Buckner's playing, and that extra blocker can go down and block a guy like Zaire Franklin when normally he would have been tied up at the line of scrimmage. Therefore, it improves your running game at the second level, or your blocking at the second level. But anyway, we appreciate it, Rick. And of course, If you'd like to leave a comment, just drop us a comment and we'll try to get to it. That's why we do the live show, so you can actually have feedback and we can have some correspondence. And that doesn't work if you don't actually ask us a question. So, I mean, we could just videotape this thing and we could just type an answer if we, save us trouble rather than having to commit a certain block of time, which time is valuable right now, really valuable. We've got high school football. We've got Purdue Fort Wayne basketball,
college football,
Colts playing at 9:30 in the morning. I mean, we're all over
yeah,
the book.
all over the world. Berlin,
Indiana playing at noon.
yeah.
All right, we'll talk Indiana. Are we ready to talk some Indiana?
Woo. Yeah, let's do it.
I think we actually saw the Heisman-Mendoza moment. And I'll tell you what, not only is it one of the greatest catches, if not just this season, but for a long time in college football, great catch. He went up high, got the ball right at the apex, came down while being hit and maintained body control to get the feet down. And great catch by Omar Cooper Jr. No question about it. But I want to give credit to the guy in the third uniform. Not the Penn State Navy, not the Indiana White. I want to give credit to the guy in the black and white stripes. Because that guy, and I don't know his name, I don't know if it's been published, but it should be. We should have a photo and his name and call him Ref of the Year, because he, by the book, executed that play perfectly, got the call right in a very difficult situation and hostile environment. I think that guy deserves all the credit in the world. He had to get out of the way of the play, and he rotated, turned his hips so that he was looking at the play, immediately looked down, knowing that even though the catch was being made way up in the air, that wasn't going to be where he had to make a call. Where he had to make a call is where the feet were going to come down. And if you watch the replay, he pivots to get out of the way of the throw and immediately looks down and studies right where the feet are going to come down. And he was right there on top of it, called it decisively and immediately, gave the touchdown. And now when I say decisively and immediately, he ruled him in immediately, but then looked to make sure he caught the ball before he put both hands up, which is exactly what the official's supposed to do. Because if the foot's not in, it doesn't matter if that ball went out of his hands and rolled into the seats. That doesn't, because he's out and it's incomplete. So he, number one, got out of the way. Number two, got in a perfect position right on the line, studying where the feet were going to come down, watched the play, saw the feet were in, immediately looked to see if the ball was caught and maintained possession, and then threw the hands up for a touchdown. By the book. You can train officials with that tape. Unbelievable job. And a lot of times officials take a bashing, right?
Sure.
Because we only notice them when they make a bad call. And a lot of times they make plenty of good ones, but we're going to call out the bad ones. In this case, I want to give credit where credit is due. That guy was outstanding and deserves some kind of medal or recognition. In fact, if he happens to drift around and find this little podcast, you, sir, are an invited guest to come on this show because you did one hell of a job. And we like people who do their dang job, especially when you wear black and white stripes on Saturdays.
Heck yeah, fantastic call and a fantastic touchdown, no question. Omar Cooper, wow. I hear a lot of people, saying like, "Oh, it's Indiana struggling against an unranked Penn State team. That doesn't look
Winless
good."
in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I hear a lot of those takes, and it's like, it's an ugly win, but it's hard to say like that because Penn State does have a lot of talented players on its roster, and clearly they were going to be still fired up to play. Their coach gets fired, you're back at home at Happy Valley. Indiana has never won there, basically. So, yeah,
0 and
uh,
13.
yeah, yeah. So I'm sure they were fired up, wanted to defend Happy Valley. And that's a Penn State team that does have some NFL talent on it. So I wasn't surprised that they were able to not only stay in this game, but take the lead. So, yeah. But credit to Indiana being able to come back, especially with that Mendoza drive, because up until that drive, he hadn't particularly impressed me that game.
It was a distraught program. They lost their coach. First reaction, frustration, disappointment. Then it's everybody in that locker room is going to talk to everybody else to get their feelings and their thoughts on it. Then there's going to be those that say, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm not staying in this place. That's what was probably going on with the culture of Penn State. Eventually, that dust settles. People don't keep talking about it forever. And eventually it gets back to football, with Penn State being a pretty talented football team. And now they've got a chance to refocus and win a game against the number 2 ranked team in the country and prove that they are as talented as the teams, because they already had one heck of a tight game against Oregon that's a top 10 team. And so I think Penn State was motivated. And when Penn State made a couple plays in that third quarter, the fans got into it, Penn State got into it, Indiana got caught on their heels, dealing with a tough road environment. Credit to Penn State. Wasn't an easy game. Would have been a little different if it was at IU, I think, because I don't think Penn State would have had the energy to make that kind of an effort and comeback. But they did what they needed to do to not only come back in the game, but take the lead. And they, like I said, they had Indiana on their heels, and they were pushing the Hoosiers around. And we don't usually see that. The offensive line for Indiana really was struggling. And so give a lot of credit to Penn State. But facing the ultimate adversity, which is adversity that most teams lose through, most teams would not have won that game, given all the wave of circumstances that went against Indiana, including getting sacked on the first play of the drive. That's pretty much the death wish right there. You get sacked, and it's now 2nd and 17. You're pinned deep in your own end. Very next play, Indiana gets a first down on a perfect throw from Mendoza. And then he completed a couple of great throws, and then there were a couple of great catches. And remember, he didn't have his favorite target, Elijah Surratt, because he was out injured. So he had to do it with other people. And I guess the one wideout, Becker, was it? He's Mendoza's roommate.
Wow. Yeah. Good connection there.
Yeah. It would have been ugly at the household if he wouldn't have made that one catch. He went up on the sideline, but he made a catch on the sideline that was almost as good as Omar Cooper's in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, he had some really
same
good
thing,
catches.
right? Went up and dragged the foot. Unbelievable job.
Good stuff.
So Indiana makes the plays. They're still number 2 in the country, and it looks like we're going to get 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten championship game
in Indianapolis. That'll be one heck of a matchup. Then we'll get to see. Ohio State will get to finally prove if they are just so much more dominant than Indiana.
Does Michigan have enough to beat Ohio State this year?
I don't know.
They've
I don't
owned
think
them.
so.
They've owned them.
I mean,
all
they
they
always
got to
get
do is be good enough.
Yeah, they always get so fired up.
I think they could. I think they could beat them. Who's more likely to lose, Ohio State Indiana's not going to lose to Wisconsin or Purdue, right?
No. Wisconsin's falling apart at the seams.
Although they were better yesterday.
Yeah, their attendance is down severely up there at Camp Randall because it's been going so bad, and
they've been getting blown out by good teams, though.
True. Yeah. So, and then obviously Purdue. So,
Oregon had to see Oregon. Interesting. They had to pull like an Indiana at Iowa.
Yeah, that was quite the game.
Iowa had them.
Yeah, they had them on the ropes, and then they didn't.
That game was done. Iowa had that upset win, and then they didn't.
That was a stormy downpour there in Iowa City. My goodness.
By the way, Rick says, brilliant analysis of the job done by the back judge, exactly as I described to my wife. That's because Rick doesn't have a YouTube channel. He has no one to tell the story to except his wife has to sit and listen to it because you're all excited about it and you want to tell somebody. But anyway, we always appreciate Rick. Once again, subscribe, like, share. Always appreciate everybody who jumps on with us on Sunday. Trying to think if there's anything more on the IU. Kurt Zignetti's emotional.
Yeah, he was.
He was almost shaky, tears, very close in that post game. Loves this team, proud of this team. And, for a tough football coach, he's a little bit of a softie at times,
I mean, how can you not be moved by that comeback and that catch and just what a dramatic win? I'd be moved by the level of fight and effort I saw from my team out there, too, if I was coaching. My goodness.
Okay, let's talk about the call. As a radio or as a play-by-play guy, I put a poll out on Gus Johnson. Okay, here's my take on Gus Johnson. Okay, Gus Johnson, I thought, separated himself as one of the best in the business 10, 15 years ago with his work in the NFL. The NFL had a lot of guys that were very, I don't want to say dry, but they were very neutral. They didn't get all that excited. That's a pass in the end zone and that's a touchdown to so-and-so. That's about the most you'd get. And Gus Johnson got excited. But he has become a caricature of himself. To me, Gus Johnson understands he became popular because he was the energy guy, right? He was the guy that had the fun words at the right moment with the right amount of energy that people gravitated towards him. And it made him famous and made him a pretty wealthy guy. What's happened? Well, up-and-coming broadcasters look at who's out there being successful, and they copy the style of that broadcaster. I mean, when I was young, which no one else will remember this, I'm probably too old for anyone else to even remember, but Dick Enberg was the guy.
I know the name.
Yeah, see, you're one of the people I'm talking about. Dick Enberg was the man. He was the number one NBC football announcer for the NFL. That's back when the NBC had the AFC contract. He was college basketball's number one broadcaster. He worked with Al McGuire. And Dick Enberg had a great voice, had a great energy, made the game fun to watch, but didn't overpower the game. I don't even know what Gus Johnson said when Omar Cooper made that catch. It's like, I don't even know. Okay.
Yeah, pretty unintelligible. Yeah. I couldn't tell what he was saying either.
To me, he is trying so hard to hold on to his position as the most energized, animated broadcaster out there among a crew of broadcasters that bring energy, that bring excitement, that he's gone too far. Just be yourself, Gus. Just be yourself. Don't try to be something because that's what you think everyone expects of you. Just be you and you will be fine. Have your natural energy. You don't have to come up with a clever phrase every time something happens. Just tell us the play-by-play, who made the play. If it's a big moment, we can hear in your voice. We don't need to be screamed at, yelled at, or have your voice crack or completely go out. I mean, he completely loses his voice. I think somebody said it best on Twitter. They said, Gus Johnson has now reached a point where part of what he said can only be heard by dogs.
Dog whistle.
Yeah, because he's become a dog whistle. But I love Gus. I mean, I've always thought Gus brought some fun to the broadcast, but you can't be what the public thinks you are because you end up becoming a caricature of yourself. And I think that's part of where Gus Johnson has gotten, where he feels like the public tunes to him to hear an over-the-top energized guy, and so he's always got to bring more energy, more over-the-top, because everybody else now has a little more energy than they did when he was taking his position among the top of play-by-play broadcasters. Like I said, I have nothing against Gus. I like Gus, but I just think some of the calls, I mean, it was the entire fourth quarter, really. I thought
Yeah, he
just
got
over the
extra.
top, screaming and yelling about every Penn State play and every. I just don't feel like we need screaming and yelling for a
No.
network broadcast. Now, that might work if you've got a fan base that wants to hear that type of energy for their team on a radio broadcast, but I don't think it works for network TV. Let the
Uh,
crowd bring some energy. You bring the energy that matches the crowd. Um, that was what I was always taught, is that the combination of you and the crowd should be somewhat of a match. You should have that energy that when the crowd really gets into it, that you are into it, so that the listener feels like they're there. Everything's on the same level, not here's the crowd and then here's the play-by-play way up here. Um,
yeah,
and
it
hopefully
was
I never do that, because
no.
I don't try to do anything different than what I feel. And yeah, sometimes I get excited, but I don't think I've ever gone dog whistle on any play.
No, I've produced a lot of your calls of all different kinds of sports of games, and yeah, I've never heard you get that high. I've never heard you hit the Gus Johnson note there.
No.
And like, yeah, and it's fun in the moment, and when everybody's watching it live and everybody's screaming at the TV, it's fun. But then because it's a highlight play, but that's the point. That's what it is. It's a highlight. I think about all the classic highlight reels of classic NCAAF plays, classic NFL plays, and they're set to a montage music, and you hear the call, and you can actually tell what happened in the game because the announcer is speaking clearly.
Yeah.
Uh,
You don't hear
Now,
anybody gets it? Yeah.
yeah, could you imagine that in a highlight reel of Indiana's best plays of the season? It's like you're going through and it's like, oh, you get a great call from Don Fisher, and you can actually tell what's going on, and then you get to that video and you want to hear what happened in the play, and all you hear is him screaming. So yeah, just a little much.
All right, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and we got to talk about it again. That the Mastodons set a school record today with 137 points in a non D1 win over Dominican University out of the Chicago area. The final 137-56, and I am told that is 81 points. I had some mathematicians at campus verify that it was an 81-point margin.
You step over to the math building there.
Yeah, I had to go over
Gate
the
Center.
math and engineering building, and after a few minutes, they came back and told me, "Well, that's an 81-point win." No, we
Hey,
joked about that on the broadcast, that I had to look at it a little while and say, "Okay, it's 13 minus 5."
got to bust out the mental calculator. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's not as difficult as that. When you get to 80 some points and one's gone into the triple digits, it does make it a little bit more difficult to add it up. But it was, I think, as when you look at largest lead and you see a number that's like 85 or 86 or whatever it was, that's ridiculous. 81-point win,
Yep.
which is actually not a record.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the
Okay.
Dons won a game like 130-32 or something like that at one point.
All right.
But anyway, their 70 points in the first half set a school record. Their 137 points total set a school record. And they matched a school record with 8 players in double figures. They were led by Corey Hadnot, CJ Hadnot with 26. Ibrahim Kaba had a career high as the redshirt freshman, netted 20. You got 15 from Mason Shrout as a redshirt freshman. 12 points from Chris Morgan, 11 from E.J. Mosley. DeAndre Craig, who had 18 points in each of the first 2 games, stayed pretty consistent with 16 today. Mikhail Stevenson had double figures with 10. And Yuval Levin, the freshman out of Israel, had 10. So you had Levin, a freshman, 10 points. Mosley, a true freshman, with 11 points. Mason Shrout, redshirt freshman, 15 points. Ibrahim Kaba, a redshirt freshman, with 20. And then Chris Morgan had 12. Let's see, you had one, two, three, four. You had four other players with double figures. So, really great day. Mastodons overall in the game, listen to these numbers. Mastodon shot 67.5% from the field, 50%, 15 of 30 from three, 18 of 22 for 82% at the free throw line, out rebounded Dominican 38 to 24, and forced 27 turnovers while only committing 6. Remember last year the Dons were among the top 5 in the country in turnover margin? That might put them right up there again. 21 was the turnover margin in today's game, and that resulted in 46 points off turnovers for Purdue Fort Wayne and only 6 for Dominican. Dons win it 137 to 56. It's on to Western Michigan on Wednesday.
Yeah, looking forward to that one, but nice to see the Dons being able to play at the pace they want to get going at this season, and nice to see him, John Kaufman, being able to go deep into the rotation today as well and get a good look at a good portion of his roster for extended minutes, and also everybody looked good today, or a good good amount of guys looked great today for the Dons. So good win and good gear up for the next D1 opponent.
What about the heartbreak of women's basketball on Friday?
Yeah, you texted me during the post game show, and I was sad, man. I couldn't believe it.
They had to battle back after falling behind. I think they were down 10 points with like 5 minutes left against Xavier.
Hmm.
They battled back and got to within 3 on the final possession. They got it to Alana Nelson. She fired up a 3, my quotes,
Right.
and sunk it at the buzzer to force overtime. Only one problem. She had a toe on the line.
We've seen that before in big situations in NBA games, in other college basketball games. You just got to make sure you step all the way behind that line. That stinks. But great fight there from the Dons against a Xavier team, no question. But
Lose
yeah,
lose
just
by
step back
1
a little
point.
farther.
Lose by 1 point. Now they prepare for the Purdue Boilermakers, who they get at home at the Gate Center. That's right on the Purdue Fort Wayne campus at the Gate Center. The
Yeah.
Big Ten's Purdue Boilermakers will be there. That was, in fact, speaking of the Big Ten, that was so weird that we're playing Dominican, a non D1 opponent, in the Gate Center, not even at the Coliseum. And we have 2 of the top Big Ten officials working that game today.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
DJ Carstensen and now I'm going to draw a blank.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, I'll find it real fast.
You're good.
The guy that did the game last night, Michigan State and Arkansas.
Hey, that was a good game too. Izzo got the win over Calipari and the
Yeah, and one of
Arkansas.
the officials we had doing the Mastodons did that game. He went from the Breslin Center to Gate Center.
Hey, I respect him coming in and being
Brian
willing to
Dorsey.
appreciate the
Brian
game. Yeah.
Dorsey. Brian Dorsey's
Oh,
his name.
oh.
And the funny thing, I said, when those 2 guys were told they were doing this game, somebody forgot to tell them it was Fort Wayne. They told them Purdue in Fort Wayne, and they thought they had the Boilermakers playing a neutral site contest. You got a bunch of neutral site games this time of year, right, Adam?
Oh,
So
yeah.
they thought they had Purdue in a neutral site game. They show up and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
No,
2
no.
Big Ten officials.
Hey,
And these are guys that I think worked the regionals last year. So, I mean, they're top Big Ten officials doing the game.
shout out to them. Yeah, no question. Thanks for coming to the Gate Center today.
All right. So, Let's see. We've got through the Colts. Let's talk Hoosiers.
Woo!
What about it? They got a basketball team and they can shoot.
Yeah, it's a new era for the basketball team now too.
What a win. And I mean, that's an impressive start for Indiana.
Yeah.
Because you take care of business against a lower mid-major and you look good doing it. You didn't play down to the competition. You didn't struggle to get a 10-point win, which we all remember under Mike Woodson, all those struggles against some of the teams that they should have beat by 40, and they weren't beating by 40. And then today, the Hoosiers go really on the road. They're not at Assembly Hall. They're what I would call on the road, even though it's not at Marquette, and just manhandle Marquette.
100 to 77. Yeah, since we haven't
put 100 up.
100
And
ball.
I'm telling you, I said it before the season. There's something special about this Indiana team because knock, knock, Indiana fans, pay attention. You can shoot the three.
Yeah, they sure can. They were a perfect 50% from the field and from 3-point range tonight. So
when's the last time Indiana had a good 3-point shooting team? I mean, it's 5-6 years probably.
It feels like it. It just
they've had one or two where 1 or 2 3-point shooters. But
gotta have more in today's college game.
Yeah, and Indiana rolls, and so big win for Indiana hoops today over Marquette. Purdue, number 1 in the country, but you know, if I'm a pollster, I have to really think about that, casting that vote again.
Yeah.
They're not looking like a number 1 team. They struggled with Oakland.
Yep. The Golden Grizzlies gave
team
them a
that
scare.
the Mastodons know quite well.
Oh, yeah. No question. Greg Campbell.
I know they don't have Trey Kaufman-Wren. Big loss.
Yeah.
Pretty important player for them. But if they didn't have Braden Smith, they don't win that. Well, I can't say they don't win. But it may have been down to the finish with who won that game.
Yeah, we'll see if Purdue can start looking more polished here. But yeah, got a
right
lot to work on.
Right now, it just seems like they're not sure who does what. They're not a finished product. And to maintain that number 1 ranking, they should be looking like a finished product. Plus, they have a core that most teams don't have, a core of returning players. Most teams right now, you get one guy that comes back that starts for you. That's about all you get, right? Mm-hmm. Purdue has, 3 starters and 1 or 2 off the bench that came back. Yeah. Hey, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, big win against Navy. And I felt like they showed against Navy why they're one of the best teams in the country. Physically, athletically, how much better they were than Navy just shows you that team's something special. That team deserves to be one of the top 12 teams in the country. And they're doing it all right now. And I think Notre Dame, I think they're going to make it. I don't know. They get tripped up between now and who they got. They got 3 games, 2 or 3 games left?
Yeah, they've got 3 games left. Next weekend, they do take on 24 ranked Pitt at Pitt.
That's the toughest one, but it doesn't scare me.
Yeah, after that, they've got Syracuse in South Bend, and then they go to Stanford. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Pitt and Stanford, or Pitt and Syracuse are kind of the same. They're both teams that Notre Dame is much better than, but they're also a couple of programs that seem like once a year they pull a surprise. Didn't Syracuse knock off Clemson?
I'll double check here for you.
I think Syracuse was a team that beat Clemson.
Yeah, they did. They beat Clemson 34-21.
Yeah, and so it's kind of an odd, it's like Clemson's better than Syracuse, and that was at Clemson. So
yeah,
and that's one of those things where teams look past them. Long as Notre Dame stays focused like they have been, I think they understand their task. You've got 0 margin for error. You've got to be prepared each week because you have to win each week. You already have started your playoffs, basically. And I think Notre Dame will be fine because I think they're better than Pitt. They're better than Syracuse, definitely better than Stanford. So I think they'll be fine. Once again, make sure before you leave us today that you give us that subscribe button, give us that click, and also like this video, share this video. We really do appreciate you. Hey, you know what? This schedule's working out for the Komets just fine.
Yeah, the road killers. Yeah, they're just they
Two
don't
of
need to play
three
at their
down in
Coliseum.
Florida. I mean, the
Yeah,
Everblades are one of the best in the league, and the Komets went down there, beat them 2 out of 3, and being on the road for almost an entire month before you start your home season, that doesn't hurt a bit because you get to build chemistry. I mean, most teams in professional sports, like college teams, they've been together all summer, right? They're just
right.
hanging out together, making, new friends, buddies, hanging out, going to the Shake Shack or whatever you go to. Um, but the pro teams, they show up, have camp, and start games. And some of them have families. Well, this gets them on the road where their family becomes the guys on their team, and they build bonds. And I think it only helps this team that it's playing so many road games and having success while doing it. It can backfire if you go on the road and lose, because then everybody wants to point the finger and nobody likes anybody by the time the month's over. But in this case, I think it's working great for the Komets. I mean, they took care of business in Iowa. They swept Iowa. They went on the road to Florida. They've taken 2 out of 3 against Florida. I mean, this is a team that's playing really well on the road, getting outstanding goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
And that Janssen guy that came from nowhere, thank you, Edmonton. He's been terrific. So it should be exciting when the Komets finally get around to playing a home game, which I think is November 20th. We're like 2 weeks away from getting a home game.
Yeah, still a ways away, but like you said, them being on the road is no problem. The only problem is the fans here that want to see them. But they're building up the momentum for a very exciting return to Fort Wayne here. No
Okay,
question about it.
finally, it is the week from hell for high school football.
Oh, I know what
Everybody
you're going
on
to
the
talk
road,
about.
man.
Yep, literally, we don't have anything. Well, barely anything in the Fort Wayne area, the
I couldn't
metropolitan
do the
area.
game
Nothing.
last week. That was at Carroll. Nice, cushy, you know,
Elevator press
accommodations.
box.
You got an elevator, you got a heater. You're all
Yeah,
set. All
it's nice.
cushy. I wasn't there. John Nolan did that game. I'm back for this week,
And
and I'm told my
you're
options are like 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away, an hour and a half away. And then we have Adams Central, who is at home, but it's one of those rare places in the country where our broadcast connection is very iffy. In fact,
yeah.
it failed last time we tried to go there. So do we take the risk or do we take the road trip? I don't know.
Uh,
Ross hasn't asked me, so I don't know what the plan is.
I don't know either, but definitely excited to see where we go in regionals. And I am happy that a good amount of teams from our area moved on. But yeah,
Let's
they're all
talk
going to
about
be.
our teams, though. Let's 6A, we got
Yeah.
Carroll,
Yep.
and they're going to Penn.
That's
Penn
tough.
still unbeaten?
I believe so. I'll double check here for you. I'll pull up the
Okay, so
list.
Carroll Penn in 6A. 5A Northside battled to the finish against Concord and
Hmm.
came up just short, 34-29. So we don't have a team in 5A. In 4A, we've got Bishop Dwenger with the most dominating win out of anybody.
Yeah, that was unexpected to say the
Everybody
least.
thought this is the game of the year. Now, I will say this that I told Kaufman, because Kaufman's son plays for Dwenger. So he's got, some vested interest. I told him Friday, don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about Dwenger. Focus on your game. Dwenger will win. I said, Dwenger will beat East Noble. East Noble is going to have a tough time scoring on that Dwenger defense. You can ask him. Exact words I told him. I said, I don't know if East Noble can score against that Bishop Dwenger defense.
You were right.
Boom.
32-0.
No, the truth was I was just saying that to make Kaufman happy and focus on his. No, actually, I was believing
Yeah, man, what a win.
it.
What a shutout. Yeah.
And then we've got, let's see, 3A, Angola, who
Man.
they have to go to Knox.
Yeah, that's super tough going to undefeated Knox team. But Angola with a great win though for their sectional championship.
The McLaughlin kid, who's
Yeah.
very close to setting the national record for career rushing yards. He's already broken the Indiana record.
Yeah, he just runs it looks like Jonathan Taylor.
I wonder if Angola needs help from me on their scout, because I'll give him a scout. Stop that guy.
Good luck.
It's not that hard. Just stop that guy.
Yeah, just stop the guy that
that
runs.
guy. You can beat him. And that's what every team over the last 30 some games has probably had on their scout. Stop him.
Probably,
and they can't.
but they can't. That's going to be tough against
He's
Knox.
He's a special player. But that game, and then who else we got? Oh, Lures.
Yep. Lures is going to Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes. I looked it up, and it said it was in Wisconsin.
Oh, really? I have no idea. I don't know.
Adam, it can't be in Wisconsin. It's in the IHSA. No,
I know that, but I don't know where it is.
If you Google Twin Lakes, the first thing that comes up on your map phone or phone map or whatever is Twin Lakes, Wisconsin.
Oh, it's
and so I thought, oh well, that's way too far. And then I thought, it's not in Wisconsin. It's actually, I think, in Monticello.
Yep, I just looked it up just to make sure, so I didn't look stupid because I've never looked stupid before.
You kind of did.
But, hey, home of Indiana Beach. Shout out to Monticello. Yeah. But anyway,
and then 2A, Adams Central.
Dominant. I mean, like I said,
why do they make them play games? Why can't they just go ahead and give them time off and send them down on Thanksgiving weekend to Indy? They're going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great win again. There was a little point in time where it almost felt like there might be a comeback, but it was just already too big of an Adams Central lead for Eastside there. You just knew.
It was 42-7 at halftime or something. It was.
It got I don't know. I'm just trying to give Eastside some credit, but Adams Central's dominant.
Eastside scored almost all their points in the fourth quarter when the backups were in.
There you go.
You can say anything you want to try to sugarcoat it, but the reality, Adams Central smoked them like a salmon. Okay. Then we have, am I forgetting anybody? 1A?
South Adams is 1A. They go to North Miami.
Yeah, they'll win that game.
I believe so.
North Miami's 10-2, but I think North Miami's played all 1A competition. I think they played 1-2A all year long. And South Adams is in a conference where they got a lot of 2A, 3A, 4A. So South Adams is tested. South Adams, they're going to win that game. They're going to go on the road, they'll win that, and then they'll come back home to play the semi-state for a chance to go down to Indy. And what did I tell you? I told you one of the sleepers was South Adams in 1A. They're going to try to make me look good.
It's on tape if you want to check it, but yeah.
It's on tape. What was that, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, just go through watch all of the shows.
It was right near the beginning of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
When I said, we were talking about teams that could make it, I said, there's one that I think's a sleeper, and that's South Adams.
A few wins away.
We got to wrap it up. We've gone a little over tonight, but that's okay. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. All right.
Anything exciting that you need to share, Adam?
Nothing exciting. Just tune into PFW Coaches Show tomorrow.
Come on, man.
That's all I got.
Just take a little break. I was going to give you the stage.
No, I don't got anything else to add. We've hit all our topics.
Special night for the Coaches Show tomorrow night.
Yep. Tune in. Hear from Kaufman about the win over Dominican.
And the big game against Purdue with Maria Marquesano.
Yep. Everybody, we want to see you all out there on Wednesday. It's going to be huge.
And you can come and be a part of the show. It's free. You can hang out. There's no admission cost. It might not be free if you want to eat or if you want to get a drink. But you can come on out and be a part of the show at the Fairfield.
Yep.
I'm
Go
sure
hang
for
out with
nothing.
Brett tomorrow.
Pardon?
Oh, I was just saying, go hang out with Brett tomorrow. Have a good time, everybody.
Well, I actually come out and hang out with Kaufman and Maria Marcasano. They're much better company than me. All
Play some
right.
mini golf too. All right.
Yeah. All right, man. You take care, and I'll be connecting with you tomorrow for the coaches show. That's Adam Lundy, who joins us here on the Sports Rush. Once again, before you decide to depart us tonight, make sure you have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share, like, comment, anything you can do that helps us with our algorithm. I'm trying to build this channel, uh, and your input certainly helps. If you enjoy what we say, or you'd like to listen to it and get some thoughts on some of the content we provide, primarily Fort Wayne and Indiana sports, I will close by saying this. Congratulations to the Carroll Chargers, the most dominant volleyball team we have had in Fort Wayne in some time, if not forever. They're doing it at the 4A level, but they are your state champions in Class 4A, a perfect season, and they swept Plainfield for the championship. What a great volleyball team, and congratulations, Carol, on your state championship, and congratulations to Bishop Dwenger. Even though you didn't get the top prize, you ran into a real juggernaut in Roncalli, but certainly you made the 260 proud in the way you performed, getting down to Indianapolis and falling just short. All right, that does it for us. Have a terrific Sunday night. We will be talking to you again soon. Every Sunday, we try to jump on here and do a live show. So keep us on your calendar, and be sure to join us. Mastodon's Coaches Show coming up tomorrow night from 6 to 7. And live from Western Michigan, we'll have the broadcast on 1380 The Fan Wednesday night, 6:45, with the tip at 7 o'clock from Kalamazoo. Have a great night.